I am a homeschool mom who wants to teach my boys bilingually, but I'm not a fluent speaker in Portuguese, the language that my husband speaks really fluently. Because of our family circumstances at this moment, my husband is not as active in our homeschool as he once was, and we don't want to stop learning and teaching Portuguese in our home. So, what can we do? If you're in a similar situation, today I'm hoping to share with you a few tools and ideas and just thought patterns that are proving to be really helpful to me as an English speaking, Portuguese learning mom who wants to teach Portuguese in our home and have that as a family language. Hi friend, I'm Sarah and welcome to my channel. Welcome to this online home that we have here on YouTube. I really hope that you'll make yourself at home. Please leave comments, build community here. I love that about YouTube and just the access that we have to each other and to sharing our ideas and thoughts. So today I'm sharing with you just some resources and tools and just some mental thought patterns that are proving to be helpful to me as a non-fluent speaker wanting to do our homeschool bilingually. Now that is a mouthful. The first thing that is helpful to me is simply recognizing my level, identifying it, knowing what I can and cannot yet talk about, with vocabulary that I'm lacking, maybe some knowledge of my grammar. Do I know all of the verb tenses? No, I don't. I cannot conjugate correctly in all of the verb tenses. And so just recognizing my own limitations and my weak areas. Am I good at speaking? Am I good at writing? What do I need to improve? And committing myself, number two, to continue to learn. So just because I'm at one point in my language ability right now does not mean I need to stop here. And I'm actually setting an example for my children and how to learn a language, how to persevere, and the motivation and just the commitment that's necessary to learn a language. It's something that doesn't just automatically come and sit in your mind and is there just without any work. So I'm setting an example for my children.
It's really important for me to turn off the filter in my mind that says, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong about my Portuguese speaking. We can get to the point where we are so paralyzed by fear of mistakes or by these filters in our heads that say that was wrong, or oh, you could possibly get this sentence wrong, that we just stop and give up. And so I have to turn that filter off and just remember that my input that I'm able to do is better than nothing. When it comes to my children's ability to communicate with family, with friends, to have relationships in this language, some input, however imperfect, is better than no input, however perfect that input could have been. Now, in saying this, I'm not saying that I shouldn't have a grammar filter on my language or I shouldn't use the language correctly. What I'm saying is I need to turn off the filter that paralyzes me and realize that it's only helpful if I use that for corrections and not for stopping.
Third is I need to kind of break down a little bit some of the barriers that have already been established because of just the norms of our family. Let me explain. I am the English speaker in our family, and my husband is the Portuguese speaker. So when I have tried now to switch to Portuguese with my sons, I've met a little bit of resistance. And I'm glad I've been able to identify that. But when I sit down with them and I switch from reading a book in English to them to reading a book in Portuguese, of course, my language is not flowing as well as my husband's would if he were reading that book to them. And I have to just make some choices very consciously with my boys. We're going to push through this book. Mom's going to improve. And also, you're going to sit here with me and listen well. It doesn't have to be a huge battle, but for us, it has been a little bit, somewhat. And I'm beginning to see us getting past that little barrier and it becoming a little more normal for me to be speaking Portuguese. If you have older kids, you might actually have to just come out and tell them, hey, I'm going to be speaking this language with you during this time or for homeschool or however you're choosing to divide up your language time, it might help them to understand what you're trying to accomplish. Switching your language acquisition approach. My family has been using one person, one language. It's been working really great for us. My husband was speaking Portuguese with my sons, I was speaking English. But now with him outside of the home for most of the day and most of or all of our homeschool time, it has to change. And we're willing to do that. So as a non-fluent speaker, I've made the choice, I'm going to change my approach to this. We have switched to it being mostly just a mix. I will speak Portuguese when we're reading Portuguese books. I will speak Portuguese when I want my kids to be learning something about a certain topic, or I know they know the vocabulary for that situation. So switching language approach can be really helpful, or trying out multiple different approaches to language acquisition. And realizing my weaknesses as a teacher and identifying those, I have learned that I need to branch out. I need to find people who will speak with my sons in Portuguese outside of my family. So finding those comrades, those people that can also be speaking the target language, the language you want your children to learn, with them or with you or with your family, so that it's not just you have a support system. Tap into family. So if you have a side of your family that speaks a particular language, call them often, go see them often, so that your kids are surrounded by that environment, surrounded by those relationships, which gives them a lot more motivation to learn a language. Now, if like us, you're overseas and you don't have the ability to meet with people very often who speak another language, your target language, then make phone calls, make those a priority, a weekly scheduled meeting, whatever you need. And if you don't have any family that speaks another language, if you're all like, this is our one language, find friends. ask friends if they have friends that you can connect with who speak that language. YouTube. So YouTube actually has a lot of great resources in songs, in children's learning videos that you can use to teach another language. As always, you have to use parent caution with these things, but I found that my sons really remember songs well. This is really characteristic of their age group, which is preschool age, and they will repeat songs and say the words pretty clearly back, even before they understand what the meaning is. So they're getting the pronunciation, they're getting the flow of the language, and they're also just, they're learning that the language can be fun. So using that as a tool, as a resource, is really, really helpful for non-fluent speakers. I myself find that I will remember phrases and fun things to say from songs that I'm listening to with my boys. And so then it's easier for me to also resurrect those during the day and keep bringing them up so that my sons keep having that exposure to language. Which leads me to another point, which is I need to build in reminders for myself to keep bringing up the language throughout the day. So if I have a particular room in the house where I can post some vocabulary words for that room, like the bathroom, o vaso sanitário, o papel higiênico. All of these words, I can put a paper on the things and read them out loud as I'm taking my boys to the bathroom, potty training them, and we're speaking those words together. I need these reminders during my day. I can set a timer on my phone that says, okay, for the next 10 minutes, speak this language to your kids, or read that books in that language to your kids. Because I find it all too easy, at least for myself, to go through my day thinking, okay, we're getting everything done in our homeschool day. Okay, we're gonna get to that bilingual stuff later. We're gonna, I'll read in Portuguese to them later. I'll speak Portuguese to them later, and it happens day after day after day. So I have to build reminders, and even just giving myself a time frame, like 10 minutes. Do this for 10 minutes. Do this for one book. Some kind of goal that I can measure, so I know, okay, I've accomplished that. I'm actually able to look back and measure my progress with pushing myself to actually teach my kids that language. Does that make sense? Building reminders into your day and then pairing those with measurable goals, or setting something for yourself that you know, okay, this is 10 minutes. This is one book. This is these certain words. Other great tools. I love Usborne's First Thousand Words for teaching new vocabulary because they're pictures, and my boys already love talking about pictures. So we have the support of the image, and then we also have on the side a reminder of what the word means. Usually it has English and the target language. So then you're able to actually see, okay, this is the meaning of that word. That's what they're trying to teach us. This, okay, and find it in the picture. And so it's a fun finding game. We use this with Portuguese. I got this for myself now because I'm learning another language. There are multiple books like this, and I just find them really helpful. It's kind of like having a dictionary in a kid's book. Does that make sense? Or like a, yeah. So it's a really handy reference resource when I can't remember the words and I want to look at a picture book with my kids and I want to talk to them in Portuguese, but I might not remember the words for the things on the page. This is kind of like a cheat sheet. It just tells me the word on the side and we're just looking at the picture and talking about it together. So yeah, it works. Another tool, I know that flashcards maybe have a bad rap in homeschooling, maybe especially for younger kids. If you're outside of the classical education realm, maybe in all grades, they can be really helpful for learning language, both for the kids and for the teacher. So I find that I will create flashcards in Portuguese and English. If you're looking for those, they're on my website. And we'll play games with them. So combine this with games. That's another tool. Games, flashcards, these physical things that you can manipulate and move around and have a picture with them or something with them that helps you just do a task with them. I find that that's a really great tool for me as a non-fluent speaker to use within my homeschool. We usually with flashcards have a targeted pool of vocabulary. So for us, for example, fruit paired with colors. And we're not really going beyond that vocabulary in that setting. So it gives me a boost in my confidence because I know, okay, we're just talking about this topic. I know these words. We can do this. And that's really helpful for my attitude and my thought patterns as the teacher is I can do this, giving me confidence. I feel like I'm probably forgetting 5 different things that I wanted to put into this video. So I will remember them probably later and maybe add them in the future to some other videos or update this video. But for now, these are my tips for this topic. These are the tools that I'm finding helpful, and I'm hoping to continue to grow in this area. So do keep in touch for updates. But please, if you are a non-fluent speaker of a language, don't rule out bilingual education in your homeschool. If it's something that you really want to do for some reason or another, it can be possible. Let me be a living testimony to that. We are doing it, and I think that it is totally possible, even for a non-fluent speaker, to do this. Yeah, maybe it's not ideal in certain ways. My pronunciation is not great. My handling of the language is going to mirror English in ways where it shouldn't, but it's better than nothing. If you haven't yet checked out my video about things to consider before you begin bilingual homeschool, make sure you check that out because it's really going to help you to think through your goals and thus other ways that you're going to implement this, things that will be affected by maybe something you haven't put into words yet, a goal that you're pursuing. Please check out that video. I think it will be really helpful for you. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for joining me today. Love you guys. Ciao.